Well, like, how do we make sense, right? I just came from the border in Del Rio, reporting on this situation with migration. But how do these chapters in history help us make sense of the present times in which we're living, and sort of some of the continued anti-immigrant sentiment that we see in American political discourse?
Right. I think it's still this notion that people of color in this country often they're still othered. We're the other, right? Like sometimes you may have experiences yourself. Puerto Ricans experience it a lot. Maybe their Spanish, their English is accented, and they will say, "Well, where are you really from?" No, well, I'm a U.S. citizen. I know, but where are you really from, right? And so it's still this sort of othering of our community that occurs. And so at the border, there was a line drawn after the war, and where there was no line before, because there was such fluidity, as you know, before the war, and even after the war up to a certain period, and then things got militarized. If you go to El Paso or Del Rio or any of the places that you've visited, at least you'll know how militarized, in fact, it really is. And so it's still this notion of people coming across the border, or trying to come across the border, and still yet viewing them as the other and not desirable, not deserving of being in this country. That kind of attitude shapes immigration policy, unfortunately, and also the enforcement of those laws and those policies. And we see it even today, right? What's going on with the Haitian immigrants, primarily in the Del Rio area in particular, Del Rio y Ciudad Acuña. So it's painful. It's painful to see. But I think it's just the legacy of that history of division and the history of othering and the I don't know, not wanting quote unquote undesirable peoples to come and benefit from living in this country, or this notion that somehow these people are deficits, right, to the country. They don't add anything. They're not prepared to add to the economy. They're not prepared to add to social betterment or cultural dynamism. Quite the contrary, and we know that.